to Verata.
Nikto. In addition to giving the user the power to raise the dead, Nikto is also a web vulnerability scanner providing savvy users their go-to tool for penetration testing. But who made this powerful tool?
History.
Nikto is an open-source web server scanner that was originally developed by Sulo Cert Incorporated. Nikto 1.0 beta was released on December 27, 2001, which was closely followed by a patched Nikto 1.01 version within days of its release. Nikto 2.0 was released in November 2007, and the update reflected years of development. In 2009, David Lodge joined the development team and assumed leadership of the project, allowing Chris Sulo, the original writer, to pursue another project development. Fun fact about Nikto, the name is taken from the movie Day of Stood Still and Army of Darkness. For the purposes of this scenario, we have made the following assumptions. Our client has a limited IT staff of no more than 2 personnel. They are not using a virtual private network. And our client has all equipment necessary to perform basic cybersecurity scans and maintain the network. Our client is not using cloud services. They will provide us with a company IP addressing scheme to include DNS servers and gateway IP. Client will provide access to switches and routers. Our client will make us sign a non-disclosure agreement due to potential exposure to the company's proprietary information. Client IP traffic traverses internet and accepts payments for customers via the web. Our client uses application programming interface. These are the assumptions we've made for this project.
And so Nikto came to be. But what can it do for you?
As we've said, the Nikto vulnerability scanner is a free and open source tool. This is very advantageous for your business as it can potentially save you thousands of dollars compared to enterprise-level security software, such as Nessus, which can cost around $3,000 at entry level. In addition to being free and open source, Nikto is also frequently updated with the latest vulnerabilities that can affect your servers. It is run via a simple-to-use command line interface that should be relatively easy to train your network security team to use. Nikto can be used with any web server, including Apache, LightTPD, Lightspeed, etc., and this makes it versatile to any network hardware or server changes you may want to make in the future. One of the most useful things about the vulnerability scanner is its integration with the OSVDB CVE database. This is a database that houses known vulnerabilities. When reading the results of the scans, if there are OSVDB serial numbers listed, they are easy to look up on the CVE website and find known fixes, security patches, hardware, and software updates to remove the vulnerability from your network. Despite its advantages, Nikto is not a stealthy tool and can be rather noisy while scanning since it sends over 2,000 HTTP GET requests to the web server. The noise can sometimes lead to false positives when used on a network that has an IDS or an intrusion detection system. Though this in itself can be useful, as Nikto can be used to determine how well the IDS is performing. Another big disadvantage to Nikto is that it can be very slow, taking upwards of 45 minutes to complete, depending on the size of the network being scanned and the speed of those servers. Nikto will be a beneficial addition to your organization's security toolbox. Its scan results provide a good first step in a vulnerability assessment. It points you in the right direction by showing you possible network misconfigurations, such as vulnerable open ports, forgotten scripts, and other hard-to-detect problems that may be present in your servers.
A word of warning. Nikto is a tool that can be exploited by those who would abuse the vulnerabilities it finds. Hackers of all hats have access to it, and if you aren't prepared, they may use it to gain access to you.
It is important to understand that any vulnerabilities shown in the results of the Nikto scan be addressed sooner rather than later when at all possible. Vulnerability scanning tools such as these are also available to those with nefarious intentions, like hackers. So if we are seeing the vulnerabilities ourselves in the results, then they are able to see them.
So now we know what Nikto can do, but how does it work? Let's see a demonstration.
So the installation for Nikto is very simple. If you have a current version of Kali Linux, it will come prepackaged. Otherwise, if you have any other operating system, you could use Perl or Docker to run it in-house. All of the commands for running Nikto are done via command line. As you can see here, all you have to do is tac Nikto, specify the host, an IP address or URL, tac P for the port, and then specify 80,443 if you want both. If not, it defaults to port 80. As for the output of Nikto, here is a scan report that you would receive. At the top, you would see the IP address, the host name, and the port. You also get to see some SSL information, the type of encryption. In that third box, you'll see what type of server. Here we have a flywheel server. And from there, it will list out in a human readable format potential vulnerabilities. Now keep in mind, not everything is a vulnerability, but this allows pen testers to manually check each line by line. In this demo, I will be going over the Kali Linux version of Nikto, a powerful open source web vulnerability scanner. I am using a VM copy of Kali, and I will be sending a Nikto scan request to my Metasploitable 2 server. This is a server that purposefully has vulnerabilities for testing. After, we will analyze some of the outputs of Nikto. Alright, let's get started. So on my Metasploitable 2, I'll just type ifconfig to confirm my IP address. Here I got 10.0.2.7. Perfect. So now in Kali, I will go ahead and run my Nikto request. So Nikto, tap H, and then the IP address, 10.0.2.7, and then enter. And I'll go ahead and let the report run. Alright, it looks like that took a total of 20 seconds. Alright, so here I have a better copy of the output that we got from Kali Linux of that Nikto scan request. And in yellow, you can see some of the things that I identified that I thought was important. So we see the server type, it's an Apache server, right? And that really keys in on the version. Next up, on the right hand side, you see this HTTP trace method is active, suggesting the host is vulnerable to a cross-site tracing attack. That's definitely notable. And then we see a /doc/directory is browsable. This may be /user/doc. And for a lot of web developers, we know that the only folder that should be public facing is the public folder, not anyone's user folder, so that it is easily identifiable on the internet. Next up, I just want to go ahead and take your attention to this PHP MyAdmin is for managing MySQL databases and should be protected or limited to authorized hosts. This is a big one as MySQL and databases leads to the CIA concept of integrity. We want to make sure that these files are protected, our databases are protected. And with this kind of error, we need to make sure that the PHP MyAdmin credentials and file information again are not public facing and are hidden. Beyond that, we could see that Nikto really does output a lot of information, and for a lot of manual testers, this is great to start as a first point in patching and fortifying a network.
Nikto has shown us where we are vulnerable, and a security expert can now shore up our defenses and keep malevolent forces at bay. We may not yet be able to banish black hats back into the depths of the underworld, but with Nikto, we can stay forewarned of our weaknesses, and so, make ready.